a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that beauty a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but
What's going on, everybody, and happy Friday. So I came on here today to speak on this horrific killing against Tyre Nichols. This situation happened earlier this month in Memphis, where 5 officers mutilated and killed this man. This video is to show you what happened in the beginning to where we are now. Now, progress has been made in a swift manner, faster than I've ever seen before. Folks are saying that this is reminiscent of the Rodney King beatings that happened 32 years ago, but on steroids. And a lot of folks are saying that this reminds them of the Freddie Gray murder that happened in my hometown of Baltimore some years back. The Memphis Police Department is stating that the video of Tyre's death will be shown today. I'm definitely not going to put that video on YouTube for folks, that'll be triggered. And I just don't want that on my channel. However, I'm sure portions of it will be shown on the news and obviously other places where you can see the video in its entirety. Nonetheless, check out these clips and I'll be right back with my thoughts, and it is a lot.
Police officers have been fired following the death of a man during a traffic stop. They are accused of violating policies, using excessive force, and failing to render aid. On January 7th, Tyre Nichols was taken into custody. His family says he was brutally beaten by officers during his arrest and died 3 days later. The news sparked protests at the National Civil Rights Museum on Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Hello, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. Greg is off tonight. Those officers now face serious charges, and the police department and district attorney are promising to prosecute. Tonight, Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis released a statement saying the Memphis Police Department is committed to protecting and defending the rights of every citizen in our city. The egregious nature of this incident is not a reflection of the good work that our officers perform with integrity every day. District Attorney Steve Mulroy said that he is asking for patience during the investigation, saying, "I don't take situations like this lightly, and I believe firmly in transparency. I ask for your patience as we gather all necessary information so that we don't compromise the investigation or any possible future prosecution." Our WREG's Ashley Paul has been following this case since it broke, and she joins us live downtown with reaction from city and community leaders. Ashley, what are they saying?
Yeah, Stephanie. Well, tonight we finally have some of those answers we've been waiting for almost 2 weeks. 5 Memphis police officers losing their jobs over violations in the case of Tyre Nichols. Tonight we spoke with friends and advocates, though, who say this is just the beginning. Excessive use of force, duty to intervene, duty to render aid. The violations are hard to hear for close family friends like Angelina Paxton, but she says this is a good first step to bring justice to Tyre Nichols.
I was very happy to hear that these kinds of people will no longer be the men and women, but in this case, the men that are sworn to protect us. I was very happy to hear that they swiftly got rid of that problem.
Paxton says the last 2 weeks have been difficult, but today's announcement just goes to show we need reform in law enforcement.
This is a very valuable lesson in that it doesn't matter what color our officers are. There is a problem systematically.
Josh Spickler with Just City, which focuses on accountability and advocacy within Memphis, agrees. He says it's critical the Memphis Police Department is transparent. He says so far that has not been the case.
If I were accused of murdering someone, my face would have been on your television station a week ago. Everything that you could find out about me and my past would have been on your television station a week ago. These police officers have, until just now, tonight, not been identified. We've still not seen any video of this incident. We still don't know anything more than there was a confrontation, right? 2 confrontations.
And while these are good first steps, they say they're just that, first steps. And they say these men need to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
And that I really hope that my friend's life ended for something amazing to begin. I hope this is the beginning of change, real change, not the change that they promise us for years and years, and it takes generations to come. No, I hope this brings reform specifically to the city of Memphis.
Now, just to be clear, these are employment violations. Right now, no criminal charges have been filed. If they do come, they'll come from the Shelby County District Attorney once the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation wraps up their investigation. For now, reporting live downtown, I'm Ashley Paul, WREG News, Channel 3.
All right, thank you, Ashley. WREG checked each officer's background and found no infractions against any of them until now. Officer Desmond Miles Jr. was hired in March of 2017. He's been on the force for a little less than 6 years. Officers Emmett Martin and Justin Smith both started in March of 2018, giving them just under 5 years in uniform. And officers Tadarius Bean and Demetris Haley were hired August of 2020. That's about 2.5 years on the police force. Well, investigators have video of the arrest, but they say it will not be made public until the family of Tyre Nichols sees it first. The family has hired civil rights attorney Ben Crump to represent them. Crump says he will hold a news conference Monday afternoon with the family here in Memphis, and we will be there to cover it. Crump released the statement tonight. We join Tyre's family in supporting the department's decision to terminate the 5 officers who brutalized him. This is the first step towards achieving justice for Tyre.
She didn't see the video. You saw the video.
Yes.
What are we going to see, Rodney?
From the initial encounter.
You can't even look that way when he talks about the video.
No. I didn't want her to. I didn't want her to see the video or hear the video. It was our attorney's request that she could stay in there as long as she could. She heard one word and had to leave out the room. And that was when they initially was pulling him out the car. He said, "What did I do?"
I knew, that's what he said.
He said, "What did I do? Why are y'all doing this to me? What did I do?" And they proceeded to snatch him out of the car and was trying to wrestle him to the ground. And he got scared. So he was athletic enough to get out of their situation and run. And he was trying to run home because he was 3 blocks from the house when they stopped him. So after the initial encounter, we didn't see everything because actually when the body cam started, they were already engaged. And then there was the second body cam, with the sky cam that videoed the encounter. And when I saw the police officer, you know, they have this little, like, stick, this metal thing that they pull out.
Yeah, pull out like an antenna.
Like an antenna,
right.
Exactly.
Retractable.
Yes, and I saw them pull that out and started beating my son with it. I saw officers hitting on him. I saw officers kicking him. One officer kicked him like he was kicking a football a couple of times. And, but the most telling thing about the video to me was the fact that it was maybe 10 officers on the scene. And nobody tried to stop it, or even after they beat him and they propped him up against a car, no one rendered aid to him whatsoever. They walked around smoking cigarettes like it was all calm and, like, you know, bragging about what happened. And
For an hour of video.
yes.
And you saw him just sitting there.
He was sitting there, and then he slumped over. And an officer walked over to him and said, "Sit back up, mother MF," you know. And while he's handcuffed. So they popped him back up, and he slumped over again. And they popped him back up again. But no one was rendering aid. I saw some fire department people come out there, and they just walked around. Nobody showed him any aid, and they're supposed to be training.
Hours after Tyre Nichols' family viewed video footage of the traffic stop that led to his death, city and community leaders met for a community meeting in District 3, just yards away from where it all began.
So heart-wrenching. It's in my district as well, and I want everyone to know that our #1 goal is safety.
Monday, Memphis Fire confirmed to Action News 5 2 employees were relieved of duty pending the outcome of an internal investigation in connection to Nichols' death. Councilman J.B. Smiley tells us the employees were EMTs, specifically those in the ambulance with Nichols.
I think Director Sweat took the necessary position of immediately removing them from duty. I think that's what has to be done. We have to send a very strong message that any type of misconduct will not be allowed to go on in the city administration.
My concern is if they were not there in a timely manner and they didn't do what they were supposed to do, we want action. That's all the community is saying. Let's do our jobs, let's go to work, and let's support one another.
Raines Precinct Commander Colonel Dennis McNeil, who's worked for MPD for more than 30 years, shared his condolences.
I'd like to personally apologize for any actions that the Memphis Police Department may have been involved with. I agree with Councilman Jones that those actions from those few officers is not indicative of the entire police department.
Councilman Smiley says city leaders not only offer their condolences, but a commitment to work together to make sure nothing like this happens again.
And I can just imagine, what my mother would do if it was me. So we're going to do what we can. There's no way that we can right it, but we can advocate for justice. And I think that every member of the Memphis City Council.
C.J. Davis. Chief Davis, thank you for joining us this morning. So the officers were charged yesterday. Why is the video being released tonight? Are you worried that it's coming out on a Friday night?
Well, there was much discussion about when an appropriate time for the video to be released, George, and not just the Memphis Police Department, but with city administration and other agencies in the area. We felt that Friday would be better. We're taking into consideration the reaction of the community that could potentially take place, and ensuring that our schools, are out. Most business folks would be on the way home on tomorrow.
Did you give any consideration at all to not...
Or this evening, I'm sorry.
Right. Did you give any consideration at all to not releasing the video, given the concerns?
No, not at all. As we continue to talk about transparency, and even though this is a very, very difficult video to watch, it was never a thought that we would not release this video. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't released too prematurely, because we wanted to ensure that the DA's office, the TBI, and also the FBI had an opportunity to cross some of the hurdles that they had to in their investigation. And we're sort of at a point now that the DA has made his statements in reference to charges of these officers that this is a safe time for us to release the video.
You say it's difficult to watch. What was your reaction when you first saw the video?
In my 36 years, George, I would have to say I don't think I've ever been more horrified and disgusted, sad, but just, and to some degree confused.
Confused?
Yes.
Why?
When I say confused, just in the level of aggression and response to what had occurred in this traffic stop, and it's still very unclear, as to the real reason for the stop in the first place.
I guess part of your confusion must be rooted in the fact that your department did enact new policies in the wake of George Floyd's murders. What went wrong here?
Well, I think that there were several gaps that took place, and I'm just going to be honest. Anytime we have officers that are working in various types of units, and our police department, along with departments around the country, have specialized units, it's just important to make sure that there are supervisors that are where they're supposed to be during these types of operations. And individuals that are the right people that are in place that will act appropriately when these types of incidents occur. I believe there was a sense of groupthink in the mentality of what was happening. And it's just very unfortunate that nobody stepped forward to say enough.
You think it's possible that the initial stopping of the car was improper?
As far as I know today, I do believe that the stop itself was very questionable. We have been unable to verify the reckless driving allegation. There have been many searches of video footage, along the corridors of the streets that this stop supposedly occurred, or that the witnessing of reckless driving occurred. And we haven't been able to substantiate in any type of video that there was a reckless driving type of action that prompted this stop.
Did any of the police officers involved have prior criminal records?
No.
You're certain of that?
As far as I know, they did not. These officers were hired from 3 to 6 years is what their tenure was. But I'm not certain that there were any criminal charges on them. But I don't want to say for sure. But as far as I know, they didn't.
How's your department going to rebuild trust with the community in the wake of this?
This is going to be very difficult, for the police department. I've always been a supporter of police reform and the tenets of 21st century policing. And as we continue to try to build trust with our community, this is a very, very heavy cross to bear, not just for our department, but for departments around the country. Building trust is a day-by-day interaction between every traffic stop, every encounter with the community. We all have to be responsible for that now, and it's going to be difficult in the days to come.
Chief Davis, thanks for your time this morning.
I don't know what the hell these officers were thinking. I mean, you can't tell me that some demonic energy wasn't present during this ordeal, And why do these officers do this when we're living in the age of body cameras, unless they turned them off while they were performing this deadly act, which obviously would raise questions for the Memphis Police Department. These officers were selfish for so many reasons. They definitely made the department look bad. This is also adding to the already amplified mistrust that the citizens in this country have toward the police. They're supposed to serve and protect this community, right? But I digress. Many are taking matters into their own hands out of fear that the police won't help, or the fact that if a call is made in regards to a loved one with mental illness, are they going to get the help they need? Or are they going to get gunned down immediately upon police arrival? The whole shoot and ask questions later type thing, right? And obviously, even though the officers were black, this is still putting black and brown people more and more on edge when it comes to the police. Is it a wonder why some are fleeing from the police, feeling like they need to defend themselves against the police? We've seen situations where folks have been gunned down by the police for simply eating ice cream in their own home, minding their business, cooking out in their backyards, sleeping in bed, opening your window because you may have burnt some food, only to die, winning a lawsuit, against police and not leaving town fast enough, prompting death, i.e. Freddie Gray, sitting in your car unarmed, off before you can reach for your license or registration, i.e. Philando Castile, or having a cop tap dance on your neck for almost 10 minutes with the world watching on TV and around you in real time while the public is recording your last breath, i.e. George Floyd, and the list goes on and on. These young men ruin their lives, their whole entire lives, right? And for what? For the sake of exuding bravado and testosterone, memories of being picked on in school, the fact that you have a badge. Now, lastly, I want to say this. I want everyone to be safe out here, because if you don't think states of emergencies will be implemented and riots aren't going to ensue, you got another thing coming. All because these 5 black former officers decided to act out of a space of extreme hate. As if the public scrutiny wasn't bad enough, they broke the law and are currently experiencing their nigga wake-up call. And I hope they spend the rest of their lives in jail, be prosecuted to the highest extent of the law, or worse. Reading between the lines on that. You know, they got EMTs getting fired. And what's with this police chief, you know, looking crazy, not knowing if her subordinates ever had a record? Don't be surprised if she steps down here shortly, okay? Anyway, let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. I'm out.
A rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that